Good morning, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving if you are in the United States of America or wherever you are in the world and still celebrating Thanksgiving. There's always a good reason to be thankful and to be grateful. I want to wish all of my family members, friends, and colleagues that live in the U.S. happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope that it is a joyous, peaceful, and refreshing time just to be off, to enjoy family, and of course, good food. You know, what's life without good food? And I love it because I can feel Christmas is coming. I love Christmas. It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. I'm thinking about doing a little maybe a little show. I've done it before. Of course, with COVID, we weren't able to do a lot of that type of stuff, but I am thinking about doing a Soulful Sounds event for the holidays. So you can stay tuned for that. I'll be sharing a bit more on that as things evolve. But thank you so much for joining once more. This is Level Up Live for Limitless Leaders. I am Simone Albo, founder, president of the Limitless Life, where we help leaders break free from limitations, transform organizations, and truly live in purpose. We have been doing a three-part series, and we have a bonus session next week that I'll share at the end of this session, but a three-part series on the importance of leadership development. The importance of leadership development. And today we are going to share on developing leaders through mentorship. And this is something that I am very passionate about, and I will share why. I will just get my presentation up on the screen and be sure that you can see it really well. All right, here we go. All right. So, the importance of leadership development. This is part 3, developing leaders through mentorship. There are some interesting statistics out there about leadership and mentorship. And those leadership statistics are a bit alarming because it says specifically that millennials, the majority of them, will leave an organization because of the lack of leadership development. So it says that there is a desire for leadership development and mentorship. And I can say that as a young professional in my come up days, I really wanted a mentor, or 2 or 3 or more. I've realized that we can never have too many people in our lives that invest in our growth and invest in shaping who we are, right? You can have multiple coaches, you can have multiple mentors because there are different aspects of your life that those people will speak into. And I always wanted that person who would want to invest in me. And I'm talking about investing time, investing expertise, investing advice. And of course, there were people who I could call on from time to time. And I am very grateful for those people that I actually can call a mentor and a friend, even former bosses that I could look up to and I can call on when I want that guidance or advice. So I'm grateful for that. But for me, having that consistent person, that person that you can share a meal with and be vulnerable with, and to really get into the nitty gritty of life and work, that is, I think, a need that many people have. And honestly, I've had a number of young professionals that have approached me for the same thing. And this is why I shared this about mentorship. I have always wanted a mentor, someone who would invest deeply in my growth. Sorry, that word is missing. I opted to be a mentor while I waited. And so this is an important perspective that I want to share. And it can go from so many angles, right? Because people may have the mindset, well, I didn't get it, so I'm not going to give it. Nobody did it for me, so I'm not going to do it for anybody else. If we have that mindset in the world, we'll never have change. We'll never see growth. We'll never have transformation. So I opted to sow into other people's lives so that I could reap what I sow. And I reap what I sow. I have spiritual mentors, professional mentors, business mentors, and they look and feel all very, very different in scope, but they all feed me. So let's look at what mentorship is and what it looks like. A relationship of mutual respect, guidance, inspiration, and aspiration. Mentorship is a relationship of mutual respect, guidance, inspiration, and aspiration. Notice it doesn't say anything in here about age. It being a mentor doesn't mean that you have to be older than someone to mentor them. I have people in my peer group who I consider to be mentors and coaches in my life because we have all of these elements: mutual respect, guidance, inspiration, aspiration. There are people who are younger than me who these elements are present. There are people that I mentor that I look up to as well. I am inspired by them. They challenge me to be different, to be better. There's mutual respect. And in some ways, they guide me simply because their perspective is different from mine. So when we look at building mentoring relationships, or perhaps creating a formal mentorship program in your organization, and of course, there are so many different ways of doing that, we need to make sure that these elements are in place, which means we can't force people into a mentoring relationship. We need to, I think, challenge our leaders to mentor, but the relationship, the bonding, the connection needs to be, I believe, organic and natural and reflecting these elements here of mutual respect, guidance, inspiration, and aspiration. Now, what's the difference between inspiration and aspiration? So inspiration, of course, means that there's motivation, that you feel like you can conquer the world, that feeling of joy and desire. And aspiration is that feeling of growth, of aspiring, of wanting more. And so a mentor should encourage the more. And we're going to talk about that. A mentor should encourage the more. A mentor should motivate just by who they are. And usually, if a mentee approaches or a potential mentee approaches a mentor, it's because you already inspire them. So when you shun them or turn them away or say you don't have time, you can just knock yourself down off that pedestal that they've already put you on. Mutual respect is important because a good mentorship relationship should never be based on the mentor being the Lord of all and the fountain of all knowledge. The mentor should also have respect for the mentee, for who that person is, for their potential and where they are going and growing. And just as another human being, I believe everything should rest on a foundation of mutual respect. I was honored to be a part of a podcast by John Carpenter, probably about a month ago now. Time really flies. But he talked about reciprocal values and how in any relationship there ought to be reciprocal values. And I'd never heard that term before until he invited me to be a part of it. And when I thought about it, I was like, this is true. I have values. I have personal, professional values. Anyone that I connect with on a personal, professional relationship should also share those values. Not to say that we're the same person, but if there is not mutual respect for those values, that relationship is not going to go far. So when I think about what is important to me, that's also going to be important for anyone that I interact with. So I hope that that gives a good foundational framework on how mentorship and the mentorship relationship should feel, even if it is something that you're doing organically yourself, or if this is something that is a formal program in your organization. I want to talk briefly about the resistance to mentorship. And why is it that more leaders aren't mentoring? Why are we experiencing this gap today? And there could be varied reasons. I want to highlight 3 for our discussion today. 1, this is a typical one that leaders, and especially senior leaders, executives, say that they are too busy. They are too busy to make the time to sit with, nurture this mentoring relationship. And busyness is a real thing. It is a real factor. In fact, one of my mentees always says, you know what? You're fired. And we would laugh about it. And I would say, you know what? That's not allowed. That's not in the fine print. We are not allowed to fire each other. He's like, you're fired. If I don't reach out to you, I won't hear from you. And that's not good. And I told him, I have to do better with that. But sometimes you do get so caught up in your day-to-day. But I realize that you can make time for anything that you want to do. And so when he does call, I make the time to answer. Or I'll say, I'll call you right back. Even if that right back may be an hour or 2 or 3 or more, I'm going to make sure that I make the time. Even if it's other people, it may be just a WhatsApp, a check-in, how are you doing? Making the time to mentor is very important. We don't know sometimes the depths of frustration, despair, depression, concern, worry that time pulls someone out of, because of the guidance that you could give, because of the support that you could give, because of the inspiration that they need, because of the challenge that they may need, the affirmation that they may need. So we can't ever say that we're too busy. We just need to craft the necessary time and create the boundaries. Maybe you can only make the time to have 2 or 3 mentees. Maybe you only have the time to mentor one person. At least you're doing that. And you can commit to say that once a month for 30 minutes, we're going to do a check-in. We can do that. We can make time for anything that we want to. Secondly, we have people who just aren't interested. They really just don't care to be a mentor. They don't care to share their knowledge. They don't care to train or teach others. They just don't. And that's a sad commentary that as a leader, you are not inclined to duplicate not only yourself, your perspectives, your experiences, the things that you've learned, the things that you've grown from your mistakes, that you are not interested in passing that on to someone else. And whether, that's your personal choice. However, there's so much that can be gained when we choose to mentor others. And on my next slide, I'm going to talk about the benefits. And the third thing that I believe is a resistance to mentorship is when leaders just don't know how to mentor. And truly, we can say that this comes about because we've not been mentored. It's the same problem. Because studies also show that professionals, leaders who have been mentored will mentor someone else because they understand what that relationship is. They understand the benefits. They can tweak the process and they want to pay it forward. So perhaps this lack or resistance of mentorship is the fact that we don't have enough people mentoring. And what is the role of the mentor, of the leader being a mentor at work? Again, this is absolutely necessary because as a leader, you should be an inspiration to your team. You should challenge your team. You should provide guidance to your team. There should be mutual respect. Should be in an ideal world. And of course, you're not going to get that in the real world. Not everybody is going to respect you. Not everybody's going to want your guidance. Not everybody's going to be inspired by you. But it doesn't mean that for the people that are, that you should not. And so even if you've not been mentored, even if you're not sure how this is supposed to work, as they say, ask somebody, Google it, right? Get information, talk to other people, find someone else who in your organization or in your life is already being a mentor and ask them, how do you do it? What do you do? What are the lessons learned? What are the pitfalls? What should I be wary of? What should I be concerned about? Get the information and get out there and get to doing it. And here's why. Why should we mentor and why does mentoring work? Mentoring gives professional and personal growth. So in a mentoring relationship, if there is trust, then there is vulnerability, and you're able to talk about those things that, sometimes it's in your personal growth, mindset, habits that could be affecting your professional side. You may want to talk to your mentor. It seems like you do it all, right? You have things at work, you are active in the community, you have a family. How do you do it? Because I'm struggling, I'm drowning, right? I'm not able to keep up with everything. I feel drained, I feel overwhelmed. How do you do it? That's the type of conversation that you can have with a mentee. And you can say, what are the strategies that you use to try to stay on top of it all? Or you could be honest and say, most days I feel just like you, overwhelmed, stretched, drained. But this is what I've realized. I was chatting with a friend just this week, as a matter of fact, about this. As we both strive to find success, you realize that you get out of balance with that. When you get so consumed by your purpose, so consumed by the things that you want, so consumed by success, that sometimes we don't place equal importance on our personal life, our social life, and our relationships. And we realized that that was a growth point of coming to that understanding that it can't all be about work. It can't all be about the striving for success. There has to be other aspects and dimensions of your life that you should focus on. So mentorship inspires that. Mentorship brings increased confidence and self-awareness. You feel, I feel like I could handle this. I feel like I can deal with this situation. I feel like I understand myself better because I have a sounding board and I got some great advice from someone that I respect, admire, and trust. Mentorship increases exposure to new perspectives and people. One great and easy way to grow is to change your circle. Hey, that right there is a series. One way to change your perspective is to change your circle. I'll never forget it. The beginning of my enlightenment came on my first, I would say, real job, because I did work as a young girl and a teen with my family and family business. But I'm talking about outside of the comfort zone, outside of that protected family environment, going on my first real job and being around diverse people and just being in the room and listening to perspectives and listening to experiences completely changed my outlook, literally, because it revealed not only what I wanted, but what I realized was not going well in my life, things that I wanted to change. And my entire life was set up that way. With every new experience, every time I changed jobs, went on a new job, exposed me to different people, different perspectives, different ways of doing things. Even if that environment is toxic, it shifts me, it strengthens me, it grows me. And so when you get in that mentorship relationship with someone that you admire and respect, someone who has some expertise that you want to tap into, you will change. Without a doubt, you're going to change, and you're it's almost like scales are going to drop off your eyes and you're going to see the world in a completely different way. And as the mentor, you should have the same experience, because being around your mentee and seeing the world through their eyes also gives you a new perspective. Isn't that powerful? And finally, and this is of course not an exhaustive list, this is my list, but being challenged and supported. We know of the theory challenge and support theory. You can actually look that up. But it is a very important part, I believe, of anyone's, in the context that it was written, it was educational development, but I believe that it transcends that. But the balance of being challenged and supported, where you can be highly challenged by a leader and highly supported. So yes, you're being stretched. Yes, the more is demanded. But if you know that that leader is in your corner, that leader is not going to let you fall. That leader is not going to let you, I was going to say not going to let you fail, but sometimes you have to fail because there's some powerful lessons even in failure. But they're not going to let you fall hard, right? You're not going to hurt yourself so badly, because you know that someone is there in your corner. Someone is there with the towel. Someone is there with the Vaseline, right? If you think of the boxing analogy, someone is there in your corner to help you. You grow. You grow because you get out of your comfort zone. You do things that you were afraid to do. You're now more prepared to do it, and you know that you got somebody behind you. I truly believe that the best kind of leadership is the leadership that you can't see. That leader that is behind that team and pushing that team forward, pushing that team to greater performance. And you never know that there was someone behind the scenes pushing, advising, giving tips, giving advice, strategizing behind the scenes. And then that person gets out front and they shine. That to me is amazing leadership. That is what I aspire to be, that type of leader, that I don't have to have the credit. I don't have to be at the forefront. Other people can be there and be challenged and grow and learn and excel. And guess what? It takes the load off you, because now you have more people who are better able to do what they need to do to support the work that you need to have done and getting the results that you need. So as I close in our customary fashion here at Level Up for Limitless Leaders, coaching challenge. Do you have a mentor? And do you have a mentee? As a leader, do you have someone that you can create this relationship of mutual respect, guidance, inspiration, and aspiration? And are you cultivating that relationship with someone else who admires you, who's probably reached out to you already and you may have not have made the time? I challenge you, make the time. Determine how many people that you can accommodate in your life. Of course, respecting the boundaries of personal and professional commitments, but make this commitment. Even if it's 15, 30 minutes that you can invest in someone else, and find someone who is someone that you admire, someone who you know can stretch you. I reached out to someone, and it was so funny that I reached out to them about 2 years ago. And we've just circled back to each other. And this person is someone that I admire in the HR space. And I just asked them, would you have time to mentor me? And he said yes. And so after these holidays, because he's in America, I'm going to be reaching out. I have that email sitting in drafts, ready to go. Why? Because we all need to focus on continuous improvement, new perspectives, growth, better results. And so in that vein, I am so excited about next week. We have a bonus session. This is, I told you, a 3-part series, but we have a bonus session next week. Why leaders need to invest in personal and professional development, with a special guest. He is near and dear to my heart. One of a few people who I am truly inspired by. It's a group of these folks, right? And you'll see a lot of us moving around together and supporting each other in our various endeavors. And it's because we have relationships of mutual respect. And he's one of them. And that is Ahmad Thompson. We call each other King and Queen. I am so excited to have Ahmad join me next week as we talk about this very important topic. He is also a HR professional, corporate trainer, John C. Maxwell trainer. And so this is going to be a great conversation next week. Remember to continue to tune in and join us if you're watching the replay. Thank you so much for being a part of Level Up Live for Limitless Leaders. I will definitely check in with all of your comments and everything that you would have shared while this presentation was up. But truly, truly thankful for all of you that join and that are a part of this weekly session every Thursday on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you. Thank you so much, Andia. Very insightful discussion. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for giving me that feedback and for being a part of the show. Again, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Blessings.